Good morning, everybody. 24th of April, 2025. It is 5:45. As you see, there's a clock up here. Strange, I'm looking at my camera here, and it shows it in yellow, but when I'm looking at it, it says it's in red. It says it's 8 degrees and 5:45 in the morning. Anyway, it's before all these people start going to work here in this truck factory. So I thought I'd get out early. Yeah, it's a little bit chilly compared to a few days ago. As you know, in the daylight or daytime, a little bit later on, we're getting temperatures here. At least it has been a few times, like around 26. I think that's like 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So, hey, we're getting close to 80 degrees. I don't know if it ever really gets so much warmer here. Maybe it gets up to 85 or who knows what. Well, it looks like a lot of people are going to work here. I should have walked across that crosswalk. Anyway, I'm going to go to some area right over here, and normally when I was there, all kinds of trucks keep coming by, and I don't know if it has anything to do with this. This is actually a truck factory. Minsk Automobilzavod. You know, I can't switch to Russian very fast. Look at the Order of Lenin. I think this place was established about 1948, after the war anyway, so they never really made tanks or anything like that. And these are just some models of trucks and buses and things they make. Anyway, they have an awful lot. I believe this is also, even though it says 1936 on there, it's also associated, I believe, with that factory and that building and lots of others. And you can go into many places in Minsk. And it also has assets from this company. Might be one of the biggest industrial projects of Minsk anyway, is this place. So there's a lot of tractors also made in Minsk. So there are two big industries, are these things, buses, trucks. And then there's another company, I don't know, it's not this one, but they also make some heavy duty trucks. There's one like I think it's even the biggest truck in the world for the heaviest lifting in the world, this other company. And I had heard, I guess I could go there, I don't know. You have to pay for some sort of a tour or whatever, but I think there's like a big truck there, and the tires are higher than 6 feet, just the tires alone, and the truck is just some big monster. I don't know. I don't know. I heard it's the biggest truck. I think maybe there's only one. I don't know. I just hear rumors. I don't go with much. Some older lady here. Look at that, coming out of a very old car from the 70s as well. So let's keep going. Very interesting in the mornings. I like the mornings much better than the evenings. Don't know about you guys, but anyway, you guys want to hear news? There's a Jeep Cherokee over there. American cars. Makes you really wonder with all these sanctions on all these countries and all this sort of deal. And like Donald Trump himself doesn't really stop and realize that there's American cars getting bought, and it increases the size of the industries in the United States. And when you start dinking around like this, you know, you actually I don't know, let's just go with some term. I think a lot of people say, the Chinese even say, that like protectionism and all these tariffs and things, actually there are no winners. And you know, Trump, in spite of him coming out and saying, we're making billions, look at these hands, we're making billions right now, it turns out that that's not necessarily true. I don't know if it's even true at all, because they say the stocks are way down, the dollar is way down, and when the value of the dollar is down, even if you're making billions, maybe those billions were worth 3 billion, 3 weeks ago. And as far as buying power is concerned, maybe it's only worth 2 billion now compared to that time. So I'm just saying, I'm not a big financial expert, but I don't know. It's like gold, you have some gold. I did have gold, had to sell it, because of all the sanctions and blocking off of Russia and Belarus. And mine was held in a vault in Germany. I've mentioned this quite a few times. And Ursula von der Leyen coming out and saying, in a sense, and it's absolutely accurate, says we're going to start taking people's bank accounts taking that money, the money that we've already taxed massively before it went to you in your pocket and you put it in a bank account. So we've already stolen a huge amount of money of yours to pay for Ukraine and refugees and whatever else we want, but you elected us, even though you did not elect me, Ursula von der Leyen, as I'm saying. She was not elected by anybody but a bunch of oligarchs, to steal your money. It just lets you know democracy and the Western system, how great it is. And all of these evil systems over here, farther east, like Belarus and Russia and China. Wow, instead you go to Berlin. This place would be filled with a whole bunch of weeds up past your knees right here if you were in Berlin. So it makes you wonder, well, they bring in vastly more money than the government of Belarus is with the astronomical taxes and things over there, but yet there's no money to do anything with. And if anybody says that there's anything wrong with maybe the roads here or something, you can find, some little deficiencies like you can everywhere. Go to Berlin and see what it's like there. I was walking, and you're tripping over the, what is it? You call them stone tiles or whatever, walking on the sidewalks, and crime going all over the place in spite of them having to have so many policemen, that gets far higher salaries, it gets more money, that buys less over there. I mean, it's just, anyway, I could be talking until I'm blue in the face and then bragging about how much better it is over there. It's not necessarily the truth. You don't see masses of homeless people here living in tents or people doing drugs on the streets, and I saw that in Frankfurt when I was there. I was surprised. I'm looking down and I see somebody shooting a needle into their arm, right there on the streets in broad daylight. And then people trying to arrest people. The police around there, people watching, people protesting in favor of Palestine, surrounded by a whole bunch of police, And who was that? That was in Great Britain, I guess, I think it was a few days ago. And somebody had some kind of a shirt on, and they had taken some of that material, that the Palestinians wear, like Yasser Arafat had his scarf, it's a black and white thing, and he had the shape of Palestine made into some sort of a patch or something. Nothing else on there, but it was the shape of Palestine, and somebody turned this guy in, so I believe they went and arrested him because he had something sewn on the shape of the borders of Palestine, or maybe it was all Israel. I don't really know, but I guess that's like against the law. Now that's incredible, but that's freedom of speech, you guys know. That's the freedom of speech, freedom of expression, the great freedoms and democracy of the West. So anyway, let's get back onto here. I haven't even started yet in the news, so I'm trying to string this out. I don't have that much today, so I did say it's the 24th of April 2025, and it's as you saw what time it was before 6. It's going to probably be 6 very soon here. And I'm mostly going to talk about this peace plan, the PIS plan. See, Zelensky's trying to force his PIS plan into the peace plan. And Trump is getting very, very frustrated. And it's strange. It's like Trump watched my video from yesterday and maybe a week ago. And I was saying, and he just hasn't maybe put it in those words. Maybe he knows that himself. But Zelensky is trying to delay all this. And when I say that Zelensky is a opportunist, so he's looking for an opportunity to enforce what he calls his PIS plan. And his PIS plan is nothing but a complete surrender by Russia. And of course, I think, as far as what these negotiations are going towards at the moment, he has probably given up his one of his dreams, or one part of it, which is he wanted to put Vladimir Putin in prison for war crimes. The war crimes that he commits, that Zelensky and his people commit. So it's it's kind of like some kind of weird projection. We are stealing children. And of course, now there was even a report yesterday that what was happening when they were going through places like close to Kharkiv, and this was some months ago, and it was like reported that they were evacuating the children and things, and the parents had to stay there. And it's like, I was thinking, and I think whoever was writing this, they said it was like for them to fight the Russians, the grown-ups, and they were like, say, evacuating the children, but it turns out they were taking the children. And it was mostly from these people, I guess, that refused to evacuate. And the war wasn't really that close to those areas anyway, so you would think, well, why should we evacuate when the war is way over that way? And it's going to be a long time before, even if you thought that the evil Russians are going to be coming over there, it's not. So they got these people. I'm going to keep going here. There was too many cars, too much noise. Anyway, they were evacuating these people, but they were taking the children. And it's pretty well known, even though it's ignored in the West, that Ukraine is taking a lot of children. And I was mentioning yesterday, the big aim is very obviously, if you start looking at people's actions, as Jesus said, know them by their fruits, and they are taking children. I mean, there's a lot of corruption in Ukraine, and the big idea of everything is money. Money, 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 money. And a lot of people know this. Justin Bieber was even saying that. He's kind of a crazy guy or something, I guess, on his own, but at least he understands that part. Like paparazzis or something chasing him for photos because they want money, of course, And I was, when I was doing this, acting as an extra in Pirates of the Caribbean, you're not supposed to have cameras. Some people snuck even a big camera. One guy had a German guy. He was, like a tourist there, but he saw this opportunity and, acting as an extra. It's not like it's very big money or nothing at all. But anyway, he had snuck his camera there. And I don't know. People were like trying to snap pictures here and there. And, I didn't take any kind of camera really. I did actually one time, and my pictures, it's not really that big of a deal, but I don't know. But anyway, the whole deal was, it's because, you take pictures, like say of Johnny Depp or something, and you sell them, and I guess the money is like then it was like $400 if you get a decent picture of Johnny Depp. And of course the paparazzis were way up on the hill because they're blocked from coming, anybody with a camera, these reporters and things like that, when they were filming that. So anyway, it's all about money. Everything's about money. I was just now talking about Justin Bieber and paparazzi. I mean, so friggin' what? But anyway, like Zelensky's, he's into money too. And what I was suggesting yesterday, and I'm very sure, very, very sure, that this is the main reason why this war is not started, or has not stopped. I mean, I'm getting into my messed up words again. Why it has not stopped, and it's because money. And that's the people in the European Union, and these are a lot of greedy people. It's mostly greed, and part of this greed is these industries that make money, the military-industrial complex, and these are the people that have the big money. There's probably a lot of money in weapons, and it's, I don't know, maybe a lot of these people, they don't, a lot of them, not all, they don't want to be dealing in drugs and child trafficking and organ trafficking, even though many of them very much do. And Ukraine certainly does. Lots of people in Ukraine are really big. Anything that's illegal makes a lot of money. So, but maybe some people in the West, they have at least a teeny bit of conscience, and they're dealing with weapons. So, and maybe these politicians, and you see that there is, I can't remember, the big celebrities in the United States, they're also into child trafficking. And it's really a lot of this stuff, you start really looking into this stuff is all hidden. Gosh, Mel Gibson and so many people are talking about how a lot of this really terrible stuff that goes on. But as far as this, the weapons are concerned, maybe these people of the European Union, Ursula von der Leyen and Kaja Kallas and all that, a lot of their donorship somehow is related. So they got these people that want to push them into keeping the war going, because there's a lot of money in the weapons. It doesn't matter if their country goes broke, if it really hurts the economy, instability and all. So it doesn't matter to them, because they're just there for their own personal reasons. And that is a sad part of it. And that's one reason why it's much better to be over here in Belarus and maybe even China. I don't know much about China. I don't live there. But I'm getting the impression that those leaders, it's just like Vladimir Putin. For the most part, their bigger priority is their people. And like I said, the expression, and I keep mentioning it, mentioning that the United States goes to war for resources. We might as well just throw in the corruption, child trafficking, and drugs and weapons and all that also in that category. But Russia goes to war for people. So Russia is out for maybe, oh gosh, trucks do it. Oh, the trucks are coming. So maybe I have to find a place. I was thinking it's too early. Somebody there, he's trying to catch the worm. The early birds catch the worm. Maybe he gets paid for every load he delivers. And somebody else, the loader, also is in for that. Who knows? Anyway, let's keep going here. But yeah, it's all about the money. And it all turns out to be the money. What is it? Chris Tucker in Rush Hour. Follow the rich white man. And normally it is men, more than women, except when you're talking about Baerbock, or Ursula von der Leyen, or Kaya Kallas, or if there's even celebrities in the United States. I'm not even sure because I get them mixed up. Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah Winfrey. I don't know, because they're into some, apparently, both of them are into something shady. One of them is big, and I don't know which one, so I don't want to get the wrong name because I get the two mixed up. But one of them is big into child trafficking. So, you know, and a lot of things have come out, but obviously, when you have a lot of these big people, and sometimes you have big friends, you can hide all that sort of thing. Just like this Harvey Weinstein. I guess his trial is going on right now. I don't know how secretive that is, but he was big into sexually harassing women. I don't know what he did. I don't really follow that stuff. It's not really the big news that affects everybody's life, so I don't really, pay that much attention. But, the important part of it is that you see that this stuff happens. These elites, these rich people, these connected people. And I'd like to also reiterate that when I've been around people that have, a lot more money than the vast majority of other people, it's just money, maybe positions and things like that. They treat the whole world a lot. I'm not saying all of them, but very, very many of them. They treat the whole world as if it's the women are their harem, and they can just pick and choose almost any woman that they want to do anything they want with them. And a lot of you out there probably don't know this, but I'm telling you, when you've been around these people, and everybody has a different red line or different borders on what they will actually do. And I've seen it, and of course, all that I have seen are men. I don't know. Hillary Clinton, it's been rumored that she was very much like this too, but she liked women very much. I don't know, and some men as well. And there's a lot of, I guess I would say at this point in time, they're rumors about her, but I would not doubt any of them. Like I said, I've seen quite a bit. I've seen quite a bit with my own eyes, experienced these people. And say if you have a girlfriend or a wife and they are the target of some of these powerful people, it's not a very good feeling. It really isn't, because these people have money and they buy people. And there are, to put it lightly, there are a lot of people around them that also want something, and they will kiss the ass of these powerful people, and they will facilitate that they might actually get your wife or your girlfriend in a place that is not very defensive for them. And as I said, I've experienced some of these things myself. So you see the wickedness of people, and it's really terrible. And I don't know. Need I say more? That was just another tangent I'm going off into, but let's go back to the news here. So I felt that was important to say that. Okay, Zelensky. Like I said, Trump and this people, they might be watching my videos, even Lavrov and things. A lot of times I put things out and then they put it out later. And Trump was actually using the same words that I was using, that Zelensky is trying to delay this. And I was saying, even just yesterday, it's like Trump saw that video and then he put it out, as the sun went up in America. He got up in the morning and watched my video and he said, oh, I got to put that out as well. I'm just kidding. But he was saying that Zelensky is delaying this. But what he didn't say, and what I said, and I just said it just now, is all of this is about money. And all these people in the European Union, they're out for themselves. They don't give a crap. And I reiterate this, they don't give a crap about any of the people in their country. They don't care about the country at all. We have like a globalist world right now. They don't have to live in their country. There's a lot of nice places to live. The weather might be better, and Zelensky's got houses, he's got properties, he's got businesses all over the world. As a matter of fact, I think he just went to South Africa, and again, maybe he's going to go look at his mines. He's like got 51% of the mining industry of South Africa now. I mean, it's not very difficult to have a huge ownerships of casinos and wineries and all sorts of tourist properties and things like that all over, which we all know that this guy has. And as I was saying, Putin was reiterating and talking that there is huge sums of money that the Ukrainian government has parked overseas in places. Wow. And I can come up with a lot of different scenarios, and I probably could. I'm going to have a lot of time soon. These are my last days of my class, and maybe I can actually, I don't know, it's like I got better things to do than sit around doing YouTube videos all the time. But I like doing this, I really do. It's therapy for me. But I could maybe put together maybe like a better story and put things chronologically and link the stories together and bring it back to what other stories in the past and how it ties in. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting, And then you get you guys know that watch this video and these videos, and I know you do, and that's actually one reason probably why my videos don't get further promoted by YouTube, is because it's like when you start coming up with the evidence and tying things in, and you can find a common theme, a trend, I guess, as you would say, over time and over different stories. The establishment really doesn't like that, and guess what? Google is part of the establishment, so they're not going to be sending my video out to everybody, and it's not even really going to be ever viral. I'm not really that good of a presenter. I'm just putting this stuff out. A lot of you guys can follow me. I got a little bit of a Bidenitis or something sometimes. So, but let's keep on going here. Get sidetracked. I just like talking about this stuff, and knowing that there are people watching this video that know these things too and follow this and think the same way that I do. So that's just kind of, I don't even know the word. Bidenitis, there it is again. Okay. Well, a lot of people are saying Arestovich put it out, and it's like Arestovich and Trump are in contact with each other, and it's almost identical what they said, that Zelensky, he's lost 4 regions. What do you say, like Lugansk, Donetsk, Kherson, and what's the other one? Zaporozhia. Not counting the Crimea, by the way, because Crimea, that happened much earlier. But anyway, these other regions, and Zelensky keeps on pushing and pushing, and he says he's not going to give up those. He's never going to sign that they ever belong to Russia. He can't see the realities, and just like Crimea, and he won't sign anything that acknowledges that Russia has these. So Arestovich and Trump both reiterated, yeah, he can go ahead and keep on doing this, but it's instead of losing 4 regions, which is actually 5, he's going to actually lose 6 regions, which is actually 7, and he might even lose more. And who was it? Mearsheimer, the professor, I think he's Harvard or some, big professor about history and politics and things, very, very big, very good mind. And other people, of course, are saying this, and I say this as well, that this is not this is not going to go well for Zelensky anyway. But like I said, I put in there, it might be an element of somebody's behind Zelensky and said, you do what we tell you to do, or else it's over for you. you know, and Zelensky's an actor, so he's got to act like that's his opinion. He's not going to do this. But in fact, there are a lot of people, it's very well known, that they will sit there and fight until all of Ukraine is gone and all the people are dead, to the last Ukrainian. There are people like that in Europe, you know, and they're just going to keep on driving and driving and driving. And if Trump wants to end this thing, well, a lot of aspects of what's going on. Peskov even said, you know, who is the spokesman for Vladimir Putin, he said that even if it could end right now, Russia would freeze, and what is now in the possession of Russia will stay in the possession of Russia, and there will be a permanent peace, you know, along with a few other things, you know. But Zelensky won't go with that because he's not going to ever give up any of this territory, so to speak, because he has to enforce the PIS plan. So, but anyway, they said that they would freeze it, and they would agree, and they would see it as permanent. And Zelensky refuses unless he gets everything back. In other words, he wants a win. He wants to say he won, that he won everything. Ukraine loses nothing. In spite of them actually losing, they lose nothing. You know, and I guess maybe it's, I don't know, makes you wonder what stupid people are behind him. And on that note, Zelensky, of course, is an opportunist. And let me add this little element in. Zelensky is probably hoping beyond hope, that somebody, because there is like an inkling, and of course we saw this before, that he's hoping that Trump gets assassinated. Somebody else comes in, like Sean Penn or something like that, who will sacrifice all the money of the West, all the money of the United States, everything for Ukraine, because Ukraine is the model democracy, you know. The the model democracy of all peoples on earth. They are defending everybody. Vladimir Putin, he wants to move in. He wants to move in and take over everybody. Adolf Hitler. Wait a minute, the Nazis, he's not but we're the, Nazis want, it's just a big farce. I think, was it Mersheimer? He was saying that a lot of the stuff that's going on in the Trump administration, and I think a lot of people are saying that there's two sides, that Witkoff is saying, well, let's acknowledge that Russia has these things, and then let's try to get this thing ended. And there's some other people, you know, that are, you know, they're not so much like that. You look at this, what's her name, Tammy something or other in the State Department. Last name slips me at the moment, but you know, she's pro-Ukraine or anti-Russia at least. And who knows? But she doesn't have any say. She's kind of a little bit of a minor high official. So, and well, let's see. Let's shift a little bit and talk about these tariffs. Like I was mentioning Peter Schiff like the other day, and Peter Schiff, it looks like he was right. There was that video. I mentioned the video that it was Peter Schiff was right. You know, they got millions and millions of views when he called exactly how it would happen in 2008 in that financial crisis back then. It's like watching, how did this guy, he said this before this, and he got every single point of it right. So it was a viral videos, and even though they had kept removing them, and I don't know if you'll still probably find it in really, really bad condition because it's old and been played many times. So, but anyway, he is you know, about that China had the cards and all that, and so Trump is kind of now backing down. He sees what's going on, and in spite of him coming out and saying, we're doing great right now, we're making billions and billions in the United States, whatever, you know, it's like he had the greatest economy that the world had ever seen in his first term, you know, which is not actually true, even though it was going in a much better direction than under Obama, but it still was far, far from it. And then, of course, when he left, it was not in very good shape because of all this COVID crap. And of course, apparently they planned it that way to release this sort of oh no, I can't say this on YouTube. Anyway, anyway, whatever happened, we had this stuff come about around that time, Trump's time, and even it's very strange that Bill Gates and Fauci and a lot of people knew that there was a pandemic coming. You have to realize that Bill Gates said there's going to be another one, but anyway, you never know. But anyway, now he's saying he's going to reduce the tariffs. I think he was up past 250% or something, and that he well, it looks like he could, or at least getting close to reducing it down to 50 or 60%. Instead, you're wondering who blinked. Was it China or was it Trump? So, pretty obvious there. Okay, what else do we have here? Well, I already was saying that, that Zelensky is delaying and maybe, like I said, maybe he's waiting for somebody to assassinate Trump, where he can get somebody in there, and maybe he can control it. And who is it? This Caroline Levitt. She was saying that, and it's also true. And even J.D. Vance said that these people knew this quite a while ago. And Zelensky likes to go out in front of the press, and he likes, they use the media, and it's in a little bit differently. Israel does that, and the United States government does it anyway. The Democrats like to do that, so they use the media to control how things go, and Zelensky is big on that, really big on that, and Ukrainians are big on that. And it's even like, hey, look I'm over here in Belarus, I'm just saying this stuff, and it's not very positive about Zelensky. And because they love democracy and love people, and they're the good guys so much, how many reporters have they ended up snuffing out? People that come out and tell the truth, well, tell the lies, it's all lies. We are not bad guys. How dare they say that we are bad guys? So die. We're the good guys. Bam, let's kill all these people because we're the good guys. That's what good guys do. They kill people. Okay, so, yeah, anyway, let's see. Oh, yeah, what I was going to say, and it's just kind of a strange thing to observe, you remember when they had that little spat in the White House, and Zelensky and Trump talking, and Trump saying, you don't have any cards, and I'm not playing cards. Zelensky said, I'm not playing cards. And this whole thing that's going on right now, and you see that Zelensky, I was saying yesterday that Zelensky has the cards. Maybe I was saying, it's just kind of a matter of speaking, but it's not really cards. And Zelensky's trying to prove right now that this is not cards. This is more of a contest between, say, Zelensky and Trump to see who has the biggest dick. So Zelensky's trying to say, look, I got a bigger dick than you do. And right now, it looks like he does. But, so he's controlling what's going on right now. Zelensky just says, well, I don't like that. I'm not going to sign that. I'm not going to go along with that. And, Trump said, well, I'm going to take my toys and go home, and I'm going to end all this thing, since you have a bigger dick than I do. But anyway, but it's not, it just looks like that at that moment. But, at the time, I'll tell you what, and it's very well known, and a lot of people talk about it. Scott Ritter mentioned this, of course, a month ago. And I don't have the knowledge so much on all of this, but a lot of people are saying, and even Starmer came right out, so it seems like it's very obvious that this war would be over if the United States backs out of it. If the United States gets out, it would be over. And there were these rumors when Trump first took office, all the weapons shipments have stopped, and this and all that, because, Trump was, as he does use his mouth, he was threatening all this sort of stuff. So he uses the media in a way too. But he's like a one-man show for the most part, even if he's got a lot of his crew also saying all this stuff. But the actions, it's like, know them by their fruits. He's not actually cutting Ukraine off and all that. They're still sending weapons. They still send a lot of money. They're giving them all the intelligence. They're letting the targeting. They're using U.S. satellites. And the U.S. admits they're giving them intelligence on, where the Russians are, so they can bomb the Russian soldiers, and obviously they're bombing the civilians, and who knows, maybe even the pipelines, all these pipeline things, that a lot of them are partly owned by the United States. These pumping stations. I don't know if that's still going, or if that was just the big popular thing when they had this ceasefire on bombing infrastructure such as oil. So I don't know. Are they still bombing the oil infrastructure points or what, but anyway, the United States is helping them with all of this sort of thing, and Trump can pull out an extra 12 inches if he just stops doing that. It's like, relax, don't do it, so just stop, Trump, just stop it, and I'll tell you what, I think the war will be over. You want to stop the killing and all that, well then stop doing that. I'll tell you what, you probably already have the idea, Donald Trump, that Russia or Putin is a is a rational guy. He doesn't want to be killing any people too. They're Eastern Slavs. They don't want to kill fellow Slavs. But what's the best way to stop this? And you're looking, Zelensky wants to keep this going long term. He wants that money to keep flowing in. Money and money, money, money. So, but if the United States, of course, cuts it off, and Vladimir Putin already mentioned that and it's pretty obvious, there's hundreds of billions of dollars. It's probably, who knows how much Zelensky personally has. He's got a really, really big chunk. He might have all of it. He might have, there's so much financial news coming out. Steve Bannon, if I don't forget, I'll mention something about that too. But just think, if Trump he cuts all this stuff off, and if this money that was stolen, technically speaking, according to Putin, from the Ukrainian people, which probably is money coming from foreign countries, and in any kind of a sense, either it goes to the war effort or to the Ukrainian people, as well as the tax money. So instead, maybe if they use this money and they start saying, well, okay, let's discontinue our war, and if you have, say, 100 billion, that's enough to last for a long time. That's another year of making war, as long as you can get the weapons, and you buy the weapons from who? By Israel. Israel probably be more than happy to sell the weapons. I don't know if they have them in those quantities. And of course, Germany has huge amounts of weapons, and so does the United States. Even if they say, oh, we don't have the production of the stuff, and it comes out and they say, oh, we don't have that. Tell me, if they just sent, what was it, hundreds of thousands, or did they say tens of thousands of artillery shells to Ukraine, does that mean they don't have any capacity to make artillery shells? Absolutely not. They've got a lot. The United States has a lot. Lots and lots of weapons. Far more than you could ever imagine. Far, far, far more. They're just lying when they say, oh, we don't have any weapons. So, like Joe Biden, we had to send cluster munitions because we didn't have any more. As I have reiterated, when you had this war with Israel, all of a sudden the United States had hundreds of thousands of bombs to send to Israel to drop on the people of Palestine. It's amazing, but they didn't have any weapons to give to Ukraine 1 month before that time. I don't know, some sort of a miracle came about, and all of a sudden, bam, maybe it was, again, the flux capacitor, and they got Napoleon Dynamite's time machine, and they went back, or somewhere. They went into the future and got a whole bunch of these bombs, and they brought them all back, and then they could give them to Israel. A bunch of crap. I don't know why they lie, and I don't even understand the logic of what they lie about, the U.S. government and all. So you don't really know what in the heck is going on. And Trump even said, we got weapons that you could never imagine or something. Maybe they do. But anyhow, and while I still have it in my head, I was talking about this money and all that. And let's go back when I was saying about, like even how much did Musk say? $12 trillion disappeared or something when they're supposed to be building submarines, probably over a long period of time. And then Steve Bannon was talking about this just yesterday, and he was putting out, like Musk, about cutting waste and fraud. I guess he's kind of maybe at odds with Musk a lot of the time, as far as a lot of this stuff is concerned. But Bannon was even mentioning, and of course Musk even mentioned, right there, the $12 trillion that disappeared. And then you're hearing, oh, the United States has a $1 trillion budget for the Pentagon this year. That's a bunch of bull. It's into the trillions, many trillions. So they're pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. They by admission, well, what was this 12 trillion just for submarines that Musk was talking about? Say it's not even 12 trillion. Say he was exaggerating. Say it was 5 trillion, but it's still a lot. Even if it is over the course of a few years, it just doesn't make up. The numbers don't add up. And Steve Bannon, he was talking about, I don't know, he said some sort of words like that there's so much waste and fraud, and he's talking into the many trillions of dollars with the Pentagon as well, And then he was talking that's even bigger, which might be true, I don't know. Steve Bannon is a fairly reliable guy with a lot of information and things. And he was talking that it's this bond market thing. It's like, he said $300 trillion. And a lot of this is like, well, has that much money ever even been printed in the United States since 1990? I don't really know. This is way over my head, this stuff. And then when you're talking about this huge amounts of money, I don't know what's exaggerated or what the deal is, but he's talking about debt, you know. And how can you run up hundreds of trillions of dollars of debt like that and nothing is really ever blowing up? And can it blow up? Maybe everybody's just going around and, you know, paying no attention to that man behind the curtain. I don't know. I'm just talking. So anyway, so at the moment, it's not a matter of who has what cards. It's who's got the bigger dick right now. So Zelensky is saying, well, I'm not playing cards. I'm going to whip this thing out here, and I dare you to take yours out. So maybe there are things that prevents Trump from taking out his extra 12 inches. I have no idea. Sorry about that analogy, you guys. If there's religious people that don't like to hear that talk, sorry. I don't know. I think I can put that on YouTube. I didn't go too far. Anyway, what else? Okay. Yeah, well, I keep reiterating. Russia wants a permanent solution, which will not happen. It will not happen on the lines that they wanted to get rid of Nazism. It's never going to happen. They'll never get rid of Nazism. There's no doubt about that. So, but Zelensky is not going to win either. So, like I said, they're 100 miles apart. I've been saying that. And Zelensky will probably go to the end because it has nothing to do with Ukraine. It has nothing to do with the lives of those people. And I guess it's you know, maybe adapt a little bit, this expression. I guess it's from Sun Tzu or whatever that Chinese guy was, The Art of War. And, you know, in a sense what he said, a bad leader will destroy his country in war so that he can rule over the ashes. And that is exactly Zelensky. He does not care. He does not care one bit. He is a global guy. He's got assets all over the world. Except for maybe Asia, I don't know. At least he's got them all over in the Western world. And yeah, he's just going to move over there. He's got Florida, Israel, Britain. He's got multiple properties in all of those places. South Africa now. He's got, and nobody even knows how much that Zelensky has. Like I said, we're talking about Pandora Papers, Panama Papers and stuff right now. Nobody knows how much wealth Zelensky has, and he's got to be doing all this stuff because he's got to do something with all this huge amounts of money. So anyway, and he wants to keep it flowing, you know, Yertle the turtle. So wants to rule over the ashes, the master of the universe, even though the universe is in ashes. So like I said, the only quick way is if Donald Trump just pulls out his extra, you know. Then we'll see how fast this ends and see how far Europe, I mean, he can even watch Europe collapse by throwing money in panties, you know, throwing the girls, oh, Kaya Kallas, oh, here's my panties, oh, Zelensky, oh, Zelensky, Ursula von der Leyen and all those people, you know, and Macron, oh, Zelensky. So now it makes me wonder about Merz, you know. Merz, he's just, he wants Adolf's, you know, dream, I guess. Apparently a lot of people are saying that. So, but we want to get in a better position, so, because you have to deal with Russia through strength, which never worked ever in the history of everybody attacking Russia. You know, you think the Ukrainians would know, but maybe they do know, and maybe, like I said, it's all about the money. They know that Russia's not going to buckle like Bernie Sanders or something like that. So, But anyway, there are other ways to end the conflict, but I tell you what, that's the best way, and it's going to be the fastest way if Trump wants a fast end. Just got to cut off the, cut off Ukraine's lifeline, and most people are saying that the Ukraine or Europe cannot do that. They have nothing like that. And what was it? Shoigu, who used to be the Minister of Defense for Russia, he just put out yesterday that it looks like, I don't know where he gets his intelligence, and it might very, very well be true. I'm not going to second guess this guy. He said that Europe wants a war as early as 2030. well, that's obvious. That's obvious. I think I've even heard 2029. Europe wants to go to war with Russia by 2029. But I'll tell you what, they want to provoke it even earlier. They're militarizing, like I said, and a lot of people are noticing, the entire Baltic to make it a NATO lake where Russia cannot send any ships through there. They would cut off their lifeline. It would cut off, believe it or not, for a large extent, the lifeline of Moscow and, of course, St. Petersburg, because that's where they get their imports and exports and ship things out. Going through those ports, it's Murmansk and things like that as well. But the biggest port, of course, is up in that area is obviously St. Petersburg. So, yeah, and that's actually about it. I don't think I have anything more. How much time is this video? 45 minutes. I barely made it yesterday, getting it uploaded in time. And like I said, this is like, I don't know, maybe 2 more videos, and then maybe I'll be doing different types of videos soon. I don't know, whatever. I'm hoping, I'm thinking, whatever. Anyway, thanks for your comments and people that like the walks. I'm sorry I was just in this area here because I don't want to go with a bunch of loud trucks. And I have to try to go to someplace a little bit different for you guys all the time and not too far from home if I can. It depends on how much time I've got. Today it's early classes, so I couldn't get too far. Anyway, so thanks for the comments. Thanks for viewing. And well, I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. Till then, bye-bye.